Okay, good evening. Welcome to our class. Today it is our issue topic. So I will just brief you about the tips and techniques to write the essay. This essay is quite general in nature. Okay, the topics given to you are quite very general. They'll be like a statement. So you will have to write an essay on that topic statement, which is like an opinion or a question or a solution or a problem. So how we should go about it? I will just brief you and show you some samples. Thereafter, it is all about writing. So if you practice a few of the essays and share them across to me, so I'll be able to give feedback on the essays you're writing. So today we'll discuss about the issue topic. Okay. So you have this section, first section, which is called analytical writing ability. So it is called AWA section. Normally this begins the GRE test where you have to write two essays. Okay, so one is issue and the other one is argument. This is very structured. Okay, structured in the sense once you know what to do in the argument, so which we'll deal with the next class. So today it is issue. So this is very much structured, which means you know what to do as soon as you are given the argument. How you should go about it. So that's very clear. Okay, whereas issue is very vague. Okay, so the topics are quite different and it is unstructured, so you can think widely. You can come up with as wide points as you can on this issue part, whereas argument is very confined, very limited, very narrow, and you only have to deal with the argument given to you. You cannot go beyond that. You have to think only within the confines of the argument. Okay, whereas you can take examples, relate to real life things. You can attach the topic to various other things that you see in day-to-day life as far as issue is concerned. Okay, which is why it becomes a little difficult to come up with points, even though there are many things to associate the issue with. Okay, so and putting them compactly, neatly into the essay and then organize it into a neat essay is also a big task actually. So issue is a real challenging task on this AWA. And the argument, the nature of both this issue and argument are entirely different. Okay, so writing essay on the issue topic is different, writing essay on the argument topic is different. So how to go about this issue part? First of all, you need to understand the topic given to you. Okay, topics are quite familiar and general in nature. They are not at all difficult to understand. There is not much of vocabulary or unknown words given in the topics, but it is a little the statement. Understanding the statement requires your ability to see the topic sentence carefully and cautiously. Okay, so it cannot just vaguely be taken as something, one word or two words out of the topic, but it is connection of different variables given in the topic. That is very important. So you have to understand the topic first. Okay, and then start thinking on the topic. So without thinking, if you go to the essay, it would be difficult to put up a neat essay. Generally, what we do is we'll be rushing things because we feel that 30 minutes is very less time. We have to write too many things, kind of. But actually, that is absolutely not necessary. If you are putting directly pen on the paper, you'll be very much vague. about what you're going to write in the essay. Okay, so whatever comes to your mind, you just keep typing that. That should not happen. So it should be compact. So that the task is about creating a compact, logical, coherent, organized essay rather than a collection of points. Okay, so you are not dumping points on the paper about the essay topic given to you. You have to put them neatly into an essay. Okay, you have to give an introduction, you have to take a position on the topic, and then you have to convince your position taken with with some points, valid points, and corroborating, strengthening it with some valid examples, valid points from your day-to-day life. So the very first thing is about organization. Well, how do you break the essay? Firstly, introduction. So what do you write in the introduction? Introduction should clearly convey, this is first para. Okay, so introduction should clearly convey that you understood the topic. So convey to the reader, give background context, create context. Okay, create context in the introduction. How do you create this context? So the topic, if it is given about the behavior, of the children these days, um, is inconsistent. Let us say if this is the topic sentence given to you. So what exactly constitute behavior should be defined in the first paragraph. Okay, what exactly it is, when you say behavior, what all things come under behavior, and what is inconsistency of behavior means. You have to define them. You have to define the variables mentioned in the topic sentence very clearly, and tell why present day children are inconsistent in their behavior. Why is second aspect. What exactly it is must be given in the introduction part. You have to define the topic, create a context, okay, and tell that, uh, define the topic, define the variables in the topic, okay, and try to uh, give the meaning of the topic in the first paragraph, and then take your position. Do you believe that children are inconsistent in their behavior? Okay, so that you should, the position about that particular topic sentence must be taken. To what extent you agree or disagree with it? You may agree totally, you may disagree totally, or somewhere in between. Okay, so you must state that position very clearly. Are you diplomatic, saying that yes, it might be correct in some cases but may not be in most other cases? Okay, so that is a very diplomatic stance that you can take. Or you can outrightly say that yes, children have problems with their behavior and they are pretty inconsistent these days. That is an extreme acceptance of the statement given. No problem, you can take that. It's not about taking a position. You can take any position you like, but it is all about convincing about that position, how persuasive your points are in corroborating the position or the stance that you have taken in the first paragraph. Okay, so the last sentence normally of the first paragraph should talk about the position you have taken. Okay, and succeeding paragraphs, body, that what you call body, is 2 to 5 paragraphs, 2 to 5. That means 4 to 5 paragraphs you can write, which can be considered as a body of the essay. Okay, so in those 2 to 5 paragraphs, each paragraph should talk about one major point. Okay, for example, what all you considered under behavior. Okay, well, let us talk about behavior with respect to the responses, with respect to home and family, responses with respect to friends, peer group, responses towards society, and responses towards towards God and ethics and morals, etc. Okay, so you can talk about moral behavior, civil behavior, civic sense, society towards that, or you can personal terms about the morality of an individual. On a personal plane also you can speak. So 4 or 5 points you can choose. Okay, people are you know Okay. Um, so you can mention the point first. Okay. So the major point that you want to write in the first para is introduction. After that, the position you have taken. Immediately the major point in the second paragraph. Remember, second paragraph to fifth paragraph constitute the body of the essay. So second paragraph should have one major point. Like for example, behavior on an individual plane. So people are not realizing the self, conscience, morals, the superego aspects, of a human individual, everything, measuring everything in terms of conscience and morals. People are losing uh, that comparison to oneself before taking any decision. Okay, they are judging everything spontaneously, without even considering, that's what you call the inner self, right? So that you should be able to highlight in the first point. This point is purely related to individual self and individual analysis, or purely on the individual plane. Next, immediately, family and home. With respect to family and home, how their behavior has been inconsistent. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 different points. You should be very clear. Remember, I told you in the very beginning, you have to think about the points that you would like to include in that essay. You should spend at least 2 minutes thinking about the points that you want to write in that particular essay. Otherwise, you'll be very vague. Okay. Don't write too many points. It's not about writing or dumping points on the in the essay. It is about convincing your position by picking just 4 5 different points in 4 different paragraphs. That's all. Okay. It's not about too many points. It's not about the point. It's not about giving a point, but it's about telling how that point is related to the position you have taken. Okay. So you should convince the reader by picking some 3 4 points. After reading these 4 points or 4 paragraphs, one should be convinced that yes, the position you have taken is persuasive. Okay. It's correct, whatever be that position. Okay. So you may go positive to the topic or negative to the topic or neutral. Okay. It doesn't matter what position you have taken, but how convincing you are, that matters a lot. So logically organize your essay by picking some good points and valid points which can strengthen the position that you have taken. Okay. And finally, you can give a conclusion stating that based on the above reasons, it is quite obvious that, this the position, uh, that the children are inconsistent these days in their behavior. You are reiterating your position you have taken in the beginning. So it's all that in the conclusion. Okay. Conclusion is nothing but a summary of the points that you mentioned in a very crisp manner, or it should be a suggestions for the future, or it can be a conclusion derived from the points, or it could be a reiteration of the position you have taken at the beginning. Okay. So same position, whatever position you took in the first paragraph should be summarized in the last paragraph. Hence, for the above reasons, to conclude, to sum up in a nutshell. So these are modifiers. This is about the language. We'll talk about that. Okay. So this is the breakup of the paragraphs and the organization that you call, organization of the essay. What should be there in the first para, 2 to 5 paras, and the sixth paragraph. Normally, the length should be around 350 to 500 words. That's what you can write in 30 minutes. You can't write, not even 30 minutes. It should be 25 to 26 minutes, because 2 minutes in the beginning you will give for thinking about the points, and 2 minutes in the last part to review where, any punctuational errors or grammatical errors or points that you missed out, or any printing mistakes that you have done. So one reading will give you a chance to correct your mistakes at the end of writing the essay. Okay. So this is a must. Spend some time at the last to edit your essay or proofread your essay. Okay. So this is the basic organization of it. Now, how should the language be? The language used should be reasonably good. Okay. It should not be hi-fi or flowery. So nobody gives you marks on the basis of the bombastic language that you use. Okay, so don't try to be too euphemistic or exaggerated in your presentation, because it doesn't matter. Okay, it's about the logic. As I mentioned, logic plays an important role here. So you should exhibit your logic rather than your uh, you know um, what you call the linguistic capabilities. Of course, it matters to certain extent. um, you should show at least functional vocabulary in your essay. So day-to-day use of words, day-to-day words that we use during a conversation, at least to that level you should be able to present, if not flowery language. Okay, so nobody wants here the authorial, or language abilities or linguistic abilities, but about the logical thinking, patterns of thinking that you exhibit while writing an essay will lay open the internal workings of your mind, actually, how you are thinking, how divergent your points are, how you are associating different things related to the topic. So that is how you are logically developing the essay that matters more than the language. And language matters as long as, language matters as long as the logic is not affected. If the logic is totally affected by the language, by the inefficiency of the language you are using, okay, then it matters. Okay, so then you will get very less score because of the bad language that you are using. You totally misconveyed the point that you would like to convey. So language matters there. So you should check here and there. If you are going grammatically wrong, that is fine. Subject verb agreement or something here and there, that is absolutely fine, accepted, because on GRE essays you are not checked for that. IELTS, TOEFL essays, yes, grammatical mistakes are considered as mistakes. Here, a little bit of compromise on the grammar part is okay over, the logic part. So logic prevails here in this essay. So you have to exhibit that you have a creative, mind, and you can come up really with some novel points, and you can organize the essay effectively. Okay, so language matters to that extent. So take care that the language you are using um, does not distort the point that you want to communicate. So that is the point, actually. Okay, so until only that there, language matters. Okay, then let us also see what ETS has to say about this, writing this essay. Okay, let us directly see from that a website of ETS how they will evaluate this. So as you know, the scale for evaluation of this essay is 0 to 6 scale. On a scale of 0 to 6, you have to score somewhere around, 4.5 or 5 or 5.5. There is no special advantage if you get 6 out of 6 on this one. But if you are very low on this, that will show you in the poor light. So if you are getting 2.5, that is absolutely bad for you. It may do something bad for you. It may not do anything good for you if you are getting 6 out of 6, but it will definitely do something bad if you are getting lesser than 4 or 4.5. So that is considered to be too less score on the essay, and it shows very clearly about your logical abilities, not about your writing abilities, about your logical abilities. So it will be a clear comment on your logical thinking, and therefore you must make sure that you are writing a good essay. Yes, Shantanu is asking, is having 5 paras a must? Yes, paragraph division is very, very important. There is a link given by Sarang for the attendance. So all of you, please mark your attendance, those who have attended. Shantanu, yes, paragraph division is very important. Otherwise, see, there is an objective for division of paragraphs, right? So a paragraph should discuss only one point. Okay, and if you are turning to a different point, switching to a different aspect of the topic, then you should go to a different paragraph. Okay, and use the correct modifier linking one paragraph to the other. So the use at the beginning. So if you say furthermore, it tells that you are going to give additional point about it. So obviously paragraphs will help a reader to understand uh, the the twists and turns of the aspects that you are writing about. Okay, so where it is taking, what kind of a twist is understood by the paragraph connections that you are making. So paragraph division is very, very important, especially on essay writing. You must know where to switch to a different paragraph. And yes, number of paragraphs should be 6, and 4 paragraphs you must allot minimum for body, and first paragraph should be introduction and the last one should be the conclusion. This is a very, very fundamental division of the this essay. Now let's look at what ETS has to say here. So let me show you from the site itself. So tips for the issue task. This anybody can open, and then you have sample essays. See, prepare for the test, analytical writing, analyze an issue, analyze an argument, score level descriptions. Okay, and you have samples given here, and you also have the sample topics given here. Okay, so only from these sample topics. Okay, pool of issues. This is called pool of issues. That means from these essays only you will get the questions in the exam. But there are too many. Okay, so let us see how many they have. So pool of issues. Okay, this page contains the issue topics for the analytical writing section of GRE general test. When you take the test, you will be presented with one issue topic from this pool. That means necessarily you will get the question from this pool itself. But the pool is very wide. So see how many are there. So they keep coming as you go on. Okay, there are too many of them, but just going through a few of them will help you to get a hang of how the topics will be. Okay, let us see some of them. The first topic, let us see. University should require every student to take a variety of courses outside the student's field of study. So this question stem remains the same. So whatever you are seeing under that statement in italics, that remains the same. Okay, just if you have a glance at that question part also, that will help you. So write a response in which you discuss the extent to which you agree or disagree with the claim. In developing and supporting your position, be sure to address the most compelling reasons or examples that could be used to challenge your position. Okay. So what is the statement given here? University should require every student to take a variety of courses outside the student's field of study. That means, do you agree with this? Suppose you are taking some specialization or a course you are joining in a university. Do you have to go for other variety of courses like music, architecture, or English, or any other things? Why do you have to learn all of them? Is it necessary? Is it required? Or is it not necessary? Some of you may agree with this because your interests may be too many. You may like photography, or you may like some other skill that you would like to develop, like music. So you might have interest, passions that you would like to follow. Okay, but somehow you would not want to make a career out of it, but it is your avocation, let us say. So there's nothing wrong in pursuing many other things also, because people might have varied things in their mind. So you can accept this, or you can say yes, it is absolutely waste of time, it will distract you from your goal. You can take even that position also. So position does not matter. You may agree with this or you may disagree with this, or you may partially agree or partially disagree with this. It's up to you. But convince the reader that yes, it is useless pursuing the courses, or it is, yes, it is useful. Whether it is useful or useless, convince me by giving some points, valid points, about logically valid points by to convince your position. Okay. Similarly, look at the other one. A nation should require all of its students to study the same national curriculum until they enter college. Like we have different boards giving different curricula. Okay. But essentially, the topics or the level of topics, level of knowledge covered at different levels in the school before you reach the university education or college education remains almost the same throughout, because nothing is pushed into a tender brain. No, that is useless also. Okay, only exceptionally brilliant students would benefit out of it. Rather, everybody cannot be made brilliant just by the curriculum itself. Okay, has somebody any question? Let me check. Yeah, sir, Sarth is asking a question. If we agree to the topic in the initial paragraph, will it be appropriate to contradict the agreement to some extent in the following paragraphs? No, because that is self-contradictory. You take a position and you are coming against the position you have taken is self-contradictory in nature, is it not? You are contradicting your position. You said yes, everybody should take this, and you yourself are coming up with something against that is not okay. So never contradict. Yes, when can you do that? When you take a diplomatic stance, you can do that, saying that, however, yes, I agree that there are people can take variety of courses outside the student's field of study. However, there are certain implicit dangers in doing so. So you can give a word of caution in one paragraph very diplomatically, talking about the negative aspects of it. Okay, that is not called contradiction, but you are talking about the disadvantages of it. Okay, so contradiction is completely refuting your position. That's contradiction. Okay, so you should never speak against the position that you have taken in the beginning. Okay, think of that first. Okay, next one. Educational institutions should actively encourage their students to choose fields of study that will prepare them for lucrative careers. So here this question is talking about whether education should prepare you to lucrative careers, or should the objective of education be knowledge gaining and not job gaining. But the recent historically it may be true. Okay, in the past people um, pursued education or the institutions which convey knowledge as the means for reading books, or learning the means for reading, knowing the world, etc. But slowly, as the industrialization, mechanization, and computerization has taken place, uh, slowly people started demanding something out of the things that that they are learning, something useful. They are seeking jobs. So, and job seeking is an essential, and nowadays every educational institution is also claiming that their institutions are also showing jobs through the training or the skill development that they are giving in the institutions or educational institutions. So the meaning today has changed entirely. The educational institution have become factories to create technologists or clerical cadre, or people who can go out and work somewhere, and seek their earning. Okay, whereas initially it was not the case. So talk about the background. Okay, talk about the background. Um, History of seeking knowledge is not like that. Talk about 100 200 years ago, people sought knowledge for knowledge sake, for knowing about the world, for knowing about different philosophies, different disciplines of study, so on and so forth, but not for the job sake. They would like to develop something or create something or invent something in their field of study. So that was the aim. The objective was to enhance knowledge, acquire knowledge, rather than get a job. So nowadays the meaning has entirely changed, even though there is very tiny percentage of people who are going after knowledge. Okay, so that should be convincing again. So you should put it in a convincing way. Your writing style, everything matters, about how you are convincing about the position you have taken. All right, and So these are some of the topics. As I mentioned, formal education tends to restrain our minds and spirits rather than set them free. So is education restraining you? Do you agree that it is restraining your mind? It is setting limits to your mind rather than freeing you from the confines of thinking, Uh, yeah. So sometimes you may say yes, or you may say no. As I mentioned, position doesn't matter. But how do you convince about this? I'm just giving you the, basic inputs required for this one. You can discuss about this uh, at the plane, where you can relate it to real time experiences, real time things that you see. Okay. Does really education constrain you? Maybe yes, with respect to morals, ethics, and values. So it does not allow you to go beyond the realm of that morality, and it makes you a very much refined person rather than a criminal when compared to a criminal or unsophisticated person. Okay. So who would do anything, who would cross the boundaries just like that. Okay. But education limits those things. Yes, it tells you what to do, what not to do. Discrimination power. It allows you to be refined and function within the bounds of the society. Okay, so there it is imposing limits. Similarly, you can talk about personal relations. So is there any limit education imposes on social relationships, personal relationships, or religious practices that you are doing, or what kind of impositions or what kind of limits that your education imposes upon you? You should talk about that. Okay. Or is it liberating you? Okay, for some people who are suffering, education might offer liberation. For example, you can talk about anti-slavery movement. Slavery was something like suffering, right? People used to consider it as their fate, and they accepted that their lives were destined to be so. But they did not understand the realities behind being a slave, why they are slaves, why they are not on par with some other fellow human being who is exactly similar looking like him. Okay. uh, okay. So why is that discrimination? So that is understood only when people started getting education. Our independence movement also started with reformists, and the reformers came from the upper echelons of the society only. Those who got educated in England, Gandhi, he got educated in England, but he understood the discrimination after getting education. So education is giving you that tool of thinking and discrimination ability with which you are looking at the things in a different perspective, and it started freeing you, liberating you from the clutches of something else which is holding you. Okay. So that way also you can convince. Okay. It's all about how you present your information in the essay that matters, rather than just dumping the points as I mentioned. Okay. So this is how the topics will be. So you can go through all the topics, sample pool of topics here, and try to understand them. Okay. Now let's see some other things about this essay which are given in the first part. Okay. So let us see. What are the tips for this section? Okay. Let us see the tips also. Okay. So I already gave you an overview of how to write this. A few more points here are given by ETS itself. You are free to organize and develop your response in any way you think will enable you to effectively communicate your ideas about the issue. Your response may incorporate particular writing strategies learned in English composition or writing intensive college courses. GRE raters will not be looking for a particular developmental strategy. That means they don't want the standard ways of, even the way we discuss 6-paragraph approach also need not be necessarily followed. So they are not looking at how your development is in particular, or particular style of writing also. In fact, when GRE raters are trained, they review hundreds of issue responses that, although highly diverse in content and form, display similar levels of critical thinking and persuasive writing. Remember these two words: critical thinking, persuasive writing. So how critically you can evaluate something, how good, how mature your thinking is, and how persuasive your writing is. Raters will see some issue responses at the 6 score level that begin by briefly summarizing the writer's position on the issue and then explicitly announcing the main points to be argued. They will see others that lead into the writer's position by making a prediction, asking a series of questions, describing a scenario, or defining critical terms. So there are many ways of getting into the topic. The raters know that a writer can earn a high score by giving multiple examples or by presenting a single extended example. Okay, particularly those at the 5 or 6 score levels, to see how other writers have successfully developed and organized their arguments. You should use as many or as few paragraphs as you consider appropriate for your argument. You will probably need to create new paragraph whenever your discussion shifts to a new cluster of ideas. What matters is not the number of examples, number of paragraphs, or the form your argument takes, but the cogency. Cogency is logical compactness of your ideas about the issue and the clarity and skill with which you can communicate those ideas to academic raters. All right. So essentially, you have to develop the skill of presenting your or communicating the ideas effectively through written language. Okay. So that is the thing cut out for you. Okay. So now let us see the scoring guide. How, what does each score has to say for us? Okay. If you get a 6 on this essay, that means it is outstanding score. Okay. In addressing the specific task directions, a 6 response presents a cogent, well-articulated analysis of the issue and conveys meaning skillfully. Okay, so what does this mean? That means you can logically articulate the ideas or the position on the issue in accordance with the assigned task. You have given complete reasons and examples to persuade the reader. And it has a well-focused, well-organized analysis connecting the ideas logically. Remember, I was talking about connecting your ideas and paragraphs. And the fluency and precision of ideas, the conveying of your ideas using effective vocabulary and sentence variety. That is another. Demonstrate superior facility with the conventions of standard written language, grammar, usage, other things. Okay. Uh, I mean, they for a 6 rater, everything is proper, So, for a 6 scorer, and score 5 is also almost close, but yes, to a level of strongness. That is not outstanding, but strong. Okay. So effective vocabulary here, the difference between 5 and 6. See there, he said effective vocabulary is used by the writer. Here, appropriate vocabulary is used. Okay. There he said fluently and precisely expressing the ideas. Here he said clearly and well. Okay. That means there is a difference between the force, the effectiveness or efficacy of your communication. So based on that, you are given the score. Okay. So fourth, if you're getting score 4, then it means it is adequate, reasonably okay. Okay. So look at this. Presents a clear position on the issue, develops a position with relevant reasons, adequately focus or organize, sufficient control of language, generally demonstrates control of the conventions, but may have some errors. So most of the students fall in this category, at least 30-40% of students. Higher range falls into this category, score 3, limited. Okay, so try to score 4 or 5, not 3, because that shows very limited levels. 2, seriously flawed. That means you don't have any idea or thinking at all. It shows that you're directionless, poorly focused, poorly organized, serious problems with language and sentence structure, serious errors in grammar, no examples, only few examples, that too unrelated to the topic, and score 1 if you have nothing to say. Okay, so you just are repeating the topic and doing nothing, so fundamentally deficient. So remember, to score high, at least 5 or 6. Nothing like it if you can score 6. As I mentioned, there is no special advantage if you score 6 on 6, but see that you are getting 6. Now that's about the scoring. So you must make sure that you also go through this once again. Okay, and you can look at the sample issue task. Now let us see how a sample issue is given here. So the topic here is that as people rely more and more on technology to solve problems, the ability of humans to think for themselves will surely deteriorate. That means you are depending more on technology. Your thinking capacity shrinks. That's what the sentence says. Do you agree or do you disagree? It's up to you. Let us see how this the 6 scorer on this one does. Sample responses, let us see. So let's take how score 5 will be, if not 6. Okay. Surely many of us have expressed the following sentiment or some variation on it during our daily commutes to work. People are getting so stupid these days. Now see how this begins. Surrounded as we are by striding and strident automations, with cell phones glued to their ears, PDS gripped in their palms, and omnipresent CNN gleaming in their eyeballs, it's tempting to believe that technology has isolated and infantilized us, essentially transforming us into dependent conformist morons, best equipped to sideswipe one another. So with this sentence itself, you can realize that this writer is totally agreeing with that statement that technology is overpowering us. Okay. So, and it is taking us into its grip. Okay. So we can see his position. You need not state it explicitly. The way you are writing something should convey that idea that you are supporting the statement or against that statement. Okay. So you need not say, I accept this. I accept the fact that this is correct. You need not say that, but you can convey it through your writing that you are not in favor of the statement or you are in favor of the statement. Okay. And look at this modifier, furthermore. That means he is trying to continue with the negative aspects, hanging around with the younger pre-commute generation whom techno savviness seems to have rendered lethal is even less reassuring. With teen people style trends shouting through the air from tiger striped PDA or zebra striped PDA, and with the latest starlet gossip zipping from the juicy blackberry to teeny turbo change. So this is something, using good amount of language from the context, American context, but you can pick something from your context itself. There's no need to talk about some technical things of American context. Okay. So something people can understand from your context also you can mention. Okay. With all this evidence, it's easy to believe that tech trends and the incorporation of technical wizardry into our everyday lives have served mostly to enforce conformity, promote dependence, heighten consumerism and materialism, and generally create a culture of values of self-absorption and personal entitlement over cooperation and collaboration. However, I argue that we are merely in the inchoate, that means early stages of learning to live with technology while still loving one another. After all, even given the examples provided earlier in this essay, it seems clear that technology has not impaired our thinking and problem-solving capacities. Certainly, it has incapacitated our behavior and manners. Certainly, our values have taken a severe blow. However, we are inarguably more efficient in our badness these days. We are effective worker bees of ineffectiveness. if technology has so increased our senses of self-efficacy that we can become veritable agents of the awful virtual CEOs of selfishness, certainly it can be beneficial. Harnessed correctly, technology can improve our ability to think and act for ourselves. The first challenge is to figure out how to provide technology users with some directly needed direction. Okay. Now this is a bit abstract, a little mature, talking about bouncy things, but still it is effective in communicating the ideas. Okay, so you need not be this hi-fi in your writing. You need not imitate, but if you can do nothing like it, you can score high. But your score does not depend on this alone. How logically you organize the things, that also matters. Okay, so these are only a few of them which you can consider. There are many other responses. You can check them, read for yourself, and then start practicing. Once you get the idea of how to go about these things, there is an introduction, understanding the context, preparing for the issue task, tips, sample issue task, and sample responses. And the questions, pool of issue. Pool means here you have topics from which you will be given the questions. Okay. So these are the actual questions you will face on the exam. Okay, only from these pool of topics you will be getting the question in the examination, nothing else. Okay, so go through as many topics as you can from this, and you can also see where your whatever your essay you have written, so under which scoring category does it fall, so that you can evaluate yourself if you go through these things. Okay, and in case you are not able to do that, you can anyway send them to me. I can evaluate them to you. Okay, so this is not a big deal. So but we have certain blown up ideas in our mind. It is something different, but remember, it's all about logic. We are all logicians, no doubt about that. We are all very much you know um, good thinkers, evaluators, good. When you are giving advice to others, we are definitely good thinkers. But when it comes to writing something like this, you need not worry about it. All you have to show here is the same kind of logical thinking that you exhibit when you are giving a suggestion to a friend, or when you are discussing a problem in the family. How you divergently you come up with different solutions, different points. So the same kind of rational thinking you must apply here on the topic, and try to come up with some points and generate points. Okay, and then put them in a compact way and convince the reader about the position you have taken. So that is the idea about the issue. Okay, so argument is totally different, which we'll take up in the next class anyway. And I want you to select from the pool of issues, each one of you, to select some essay topic for yourself. um, okay, after a while now, and write an essay, write a neat essay, and then practice at least 4 or 5 essays before you take the test. Okay, and then see for yourself how good or bad it is. Okay, and then we can take it forward. Okay, so I am always there to suggest you, in case you send me those. You already have my number, I think. Do you have it? Anyway, I'm giving it again, so you can share your essays on this number once you write them. Okay, this is my WhatsApp number. You can feed it, all of you, and share them with me. Okay, so if you have any questions, I'm here. So my analysis, my lecture about this is done. So if you got any questions, I can clarify your doubts on this. For the next 10-15 minutes, I'm here. You can ask questions. Whenever you are ready, Abhishek. Have you taken any mocks? Which test are you talking about? GRE? Okay, so if you have you practiced enough questions, at least some 200, 300 questions? No. So how confident are you about getting scores? When you take the mock, then you will know. So if you are getting 320 plus, on the mocks, then you can think of booking for the test. It's only the mock tests that you take that will give you an idea. Okay, so please take the mocks. That will be the best indicator whether you have to take the, if you're getting 315 plus, and if you are aiming for 320 plus score, so and check if you are able to manage that score 320 plus, then ideally that should be the time when you should go for the test. Otherwise, you should take a few more practice questions and then develop your skills. If you are weak in sentence correction or vocabulary, you should practice more of that. Reading comprehension, if it is concerned, then you should work on that. Practice some 50, 100 questions. Normally, they are not. Mocks are not at all different from the actual test. Okay, so the mocks that you are taking with the ETS, GRE or whatever that you have on our IMS website, or so these are almost in sync with the actual examination. So they are not different. So mock test reflects your indicator. It acts as an indicator in the original examination. Manasi has a question about the topic that we discussed, Awa. Sir, if we take a neutral stance, can we dedicate 2 paragraphs for each side? So 4 paras in total? Yes, you can do that. So if you are saying there are both disadvantages and advantages for this, you can dedicate 2 paragraphs completely to talk about the advantages and then switch to, however, there is the other side also. There are certain disadvantages for this phenomenon. Firstly, blah, 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 secondly, blah, blah, blah. So that's the scoring sense. Abhishek, scoring sense wise also, yes, 20 questions of each section, right? So each question carries 1 point. As simple as that. 80 questions, 80 points. Question standard will not be much deviant. It is not an adaptive test, question adaptive test like GMAT. So it is a section adaptive test. If you do one section very well, you get the other one a little slightly higher level in difficulty. Not even that. Most of the times they are almost similar. Okay. So there will be one long passage. You should take care of that. Otherwise, short passages, if you do some 40, 50, then you will know where to focus, what to focus, how to look at the answer choices. Okay. So that's quite easy. Scoring wise, it is not at all different. Whatever mock tests you are taking here, they are totally reflective of the actual examination. So yes, from a timeline point of view, Abhishek, with respect to the admissions, when should we be giving the test to be on the safer side? If you are aiming for 21 September, ideally this is the time. You have already crossed the time. You are into Feb now. So if you are looking for 21 September, then ideally this is the time you should have taken already. If not, immediately you have to take it. If you are aiming for 22 September, then you have time up to June, July. So you can take after summer. So it depends on when you are planning for going abroad. It depends on that. Okay. If you are 22 September, then 21 before 21 September, you should give the test. If you are 21 September, you should have already taken it. But if not, at least from a month or 15 days from now, you should think of taking it. And immediately you should apply for the colleges also. That is the timeline. By April, May, you will get your I-20. Then you can go for visas and fly off in September. So that's the timeline. Edit. Any other questions? So once the issue and argument tasks are over, okay, so I want you to send some essays to send me some essays that you wrote, and we can have a discussion also in the next class. I can open them and then we can have a discussion, okay, on what you wrote, or I can suggest you on the WhatsApp itself, okay. So please send me the essays that you are writing, and we'll also know about the argument in the coming class. So we'll do that. So for today, we have done our first task. Task 2 remains. So we'll see in the next class. After that, I'll give you mock tests. Okay, so I'll be conducting mock tests here. So section-wise tests I'll be giving you. So you'll work on sections within the time limit, and we'll have a discussion on that. All right. So that's how we'll be continuing further in the classes, right? Yes, that's all from my side. Got anything else you can ask me? Otherwise, we are done here. Did you mark the attendance, all of you? Please mark your attendance. Yes. Safe score for good universities in verbal. That depends on the courses you are joining, okay? If you are joining for MS in engineering programs, technical programs, then your verbal need not be very high. Reasonably, it should be around 150 plus. That should be enough. Okay, so but your quant should be extremely good. Okay, so it should be above 165, 160, 165. So the safe score in the verbal would be between 145, 150 plus. For STEM courses, that's what I'm saying. For STEM courses, it should be that much, 150 plus. Even 145 is no mean score, but 145, 150 should be a reasonably good one. And if you are aiming for 320 plus overall score, then you should have this 155 plus and 165 on quant. I mean, getting 165 on quant is not difficult. Okay, but getting 150 plus on verbal will really be a task. Okay, so you need to take care on that. So you may get 10, 12 points on verbal 40 questions. You can get 10, 12 points, but that's not enough. You have to try and get at least 20 points. And then 40 on 40 in the quant part. Then you can reach that 320. So to reach 320 score, you need to be impeccable, perfect on quantitative part, and reasonably good on verbal part, at least to 50% levels. Okay, so like 150, 150 plus. Okay, so that is my experience. Right. All right, guys. I want you to write an essay now. So I am disconnecting. Let us end the session now, but you continue writing essay on one topic, any topic. You can pick some topic from the pool of issues from this site. You can open in your mobile phones and check the pool of issues, and then select one topic, any topic of your choice, and write an essay on that. Okay, so spend half an hour from now, write an essay and send it across to me. All right, that's all from my side. Thank you very much. Take care. Yes, thank you.